Tawanda Maswanhise was called for the AFCON tournament. He came to Zimbabwe, he joined the boys, and eventually he flew with others into Morocco. But to everybody's surprise, this is a young man who is playing in Scotland for a league team. And then he's benched for the first 2 matches, together with Tawanda Chirewa, who plays for Wolves in EPL. And surprisingly, someone who plays in an 8th tier in England started before Tawanda Maswanhise and Tawanda Chirewa, both of them. And then people are asking questions, what is really happening? So surprisingly, Tawanda Maswanhise played the last game and he did so well. His performance was above board, contributed to the 2 goals against South Africa. And then Zimbabwe was disqualified from AFCON and yet to go back to motherhood. What happened is he started like his previous performance. He continued to score goals, he continued to assist. And people are asking questions. If Tawanda is so good like this, why is it that they benched such an asset? And what does it mean to his club? What does his performance right now mean to Zifa? What does it mean to the people of Zimbabwe? To the club, he's an asset. They are so happy. Look at the way they were posting about Tawanda Maswanhise. They were actually not happy with the way he was benched 2 games. Because if he had played both games, it was going to improve his ratings and probably the club would have benefited during my transfers because his value was going to rise. But looking at his performance right now, the game which he played, the last game against South Africa, he played so and he caught the attention of very big clubs across the world. And then he returns to the club, he's scoring. Then the message to the coach and to Zifa is simple. You know, he's a man who can do anything. They benched a man who was supposed to be at the forefront of everything else. He was ready. He was tactical. He's a man who could make those tough decisions in the pitch to score. Then political decisions are not supposed to be part and parcel of Zifa. They're not supposed to be part and parcel of the football world. We do not want to see politicians deciding who must play ahead of who. It's a very, very big problem. So Zifa failed to utilize its players. The coach failed to utilize the players who were there. So you are looking at the coach and say, is this coach fit to be coaching the national team? I doubt, because Marinica, after the defeat against South Africa, he said, I kept Maswanhise to surprise South Africa. Who does that? Instead, he was supposed to surprise Egypt, because before then, you could see that Zimbabwe was underrated. When you're looking at those who were betting, Zimbabwe was paying $5. What it means is, if somebody was going to put $100, he was going to get $500 in return for just Zimbabwe's win. But everybody was disappointed. Why? It's because despite the ratings of Zimbabwe, the coach failed to put a surprise to Egypt. He was supposed to surprise Egypt, not South Africa, because with South Africa, they drew. The last game they played with South Africa, it was a draw. So Egypt was the one which was supposed to be surprised. Imagine if Zimbabwe had taken 3 points from Egypt and lost all other games. It was going to proceed to the round of 16. Imagine if Zimbabwe had beaten Angola and managed a draw with South Africa. They were going to proceed again. Imagine if Zimbabwe had been defeated by Egypt and South Africa, but win against Angola. It was simply going to proceed because there is another club which proceeded with 2 points. So there is another country, not a club, which proceeded with 2 points, which means Zimbabwe had an advantage if they had won 1 match. Zimbabwe simply needed 1 game. If Zimbabwe had drawn with South Africa, they were also going to proceed because with 2 points and higher goals, they were going to eventually qualify through the 30 best places. So you can see that Zifa and the coach, they didn't have a plan at all. So you are having a person who is coming and saying, I want to surprise South Africa. His focus is on South Africa. His focus is not on winning games. He was underrating Angola, thinking Kuti it's going to be a walkover on Angola. With which players? Look at countries like Senegal. They know Mane is one of their best. They are playing him. They know their best players. They were playing their best players. And they could introduce their best substitute when they needed them the most. But to Zimbabwe, it was something else. So imagine if the coach had placed Maswanhise, Chirewa in the first game. Imagine what what difference they were going to make in such a game. Probably Zimbabwe was going to draw or win. Look at how Zimbabwe played. South Africa played Egypt. Egypt won through a penalty, and Zimbabwe had an ability to dribble past the defenders of Egypt and score. Something which South Africa and Angola failed to do. What it means is Zimbabwe had higher chances of scoring. Imagine if Zimbabwe had scored two goals. They were going to give Egypt a lot of pressure, and probably they would have even defeated Egypt. Imagine Zimbabwe against Angola. We were supposed to beat Angola 3-0 or even 3-1. But we failed. Why? It's because we didn't have this kind of play which we saw from Maswanhise in the last game. So if Zimbabwe had played Maswanhise and Chirewa, they were going to be, imagine if they had defeated Egypt, they defeated Angola, and now they are facing South Africa. It was going to be something else. It was going to be a very different game altogether. And because these are youngsters who need more game time, who also need more recognition in Europe, they were going to put all their effort and they were going to do their best to make sure that they score as many goals as possible for their future, because they are still young. They still have a future in football. But instead of playing them, he benched them. So if all these Msonas and all these other people finally leave, who is going to be a senior player in your team? Who is going to be commanding and leading the team? So you look at the decisions of leaving people like Maswanhise, and then you ask questions. Are these people mentally okay? So this is very important, and kudos to Tawanda Maswanhise. He continues to impress, and he continues to play good football.